Hello, this is Pharaoh Benson with Nation 443, and I'm going to apologize if my voice is a little rough today. I'm slowly getting over a cold. I wanted to make a video on a topic I've never really made one on. And unfortunately, we're going to have to do some conceptual things with this, but this is a functional topic and it shouldn't be too long. I just want to talk briefly about account transfers. They're very common in this game, and recently there was a cascade of them here in 443. Few people who have literally never transferred a city to somebody have done so for the first time, if you can believe that, after 5 years. And I think figuring out how to do that confuses some people for the first time, and so that's kind of why I wanted to make a very quick video. So, without further ado, the first thing that you need to do is actually something that won't be demonstrated on screen, but I'm pretty sure we can understand this. The very first step is to decide how you're transferring the city. Every transfer is essentially you are logging into either like an Apple ID, which that one I don't think happens ever that I've heard of. Occasionally you'll get people who want you to or have you log into a Google email. Vast majority of people use Facebook, specifically Facebook accounts that are used for the sole purpose of transferring cities are usually just, dummy accounts. Very rarely are you going to share your actual personal Facebook account you use to communicate with family members. At least I wouldn't. Just throwing that out there. So the first thing that you'll need to do is to log out of Facebook on the app that you are really looking to log in through, or in this case, making sure that you're out of it in the app, specifically on the phone. And you'll want to log into the new account. Once you have logged into the account, if you're the person who is switching accounts, it's super easy. You will just click switch account. Again, I really can't do this on the PC client, so forgive me. And then you will click on the city, because there'll be a little pop-up. So you'll click on switch account, you'll click on Facebook, you'll see your city. You can click into it. Pretty standard there, like you're switching to a farm, right? If you are the person giving the account away, and this is where usually the confusion comes in, because a lot of people get real nervous very quickly about undoing binds, but you will click on the undo bind. It's going to ask you to enter a verification code. Again, not doing this, but you can understand. You type in your verification code, and then this will allow you to this bind will clear. It'll turn back into that orangish color. I'm kind of colorblind, so forgive me. But then you will go ahead and click on bind account, and then somebody else will be able to pick up from that previous step of, again, hitting switch account and log in. I only ever recommend moving one bind at a time. If you're like permanently giving an account away, I always keep my secondary binds on there and allow them to clear it, mainly because I don't want to ever lose that secondary account access until later. The piece that is often forgotten is to undo binds on the email, because that is a way for people to get the account back that supersedes either of these. So make sure that when you are receiving a city, you Can, of course, get the email bind if you're permanently going to be on that city, if this is not like an arrangement where you're just playing on a city, or there's some form of shared access that is an expectation. Some nations will have that, and if you run into that, that's mainly just so that it's never left dead. I'll talk a bit about that here near the end of the video. The last thing, so once you've kind of got that first bind undone and then switched over to one of your emails, at that point I would recommend getting the security lock information. So when you click on security lock, it's going to ask, for a security question, and then you'll need to know the answer in order to switch that and then switch the passcode. Same thing with deactivating security locks. So when you go to get into the account, again, I recommend having all that information. I'm not going to type it in because I'm not going to let you guys know what the information is on this account. So that is essentially what you're running into with account transfers. It's log into Facebook, undo bind, redo bind, switch account to Facebook, ensure you have access to your new city, log in by entering in the security code, undo all of the binds that are on there. I do recommend logging in on multiple devices so that you can undo Apple and Google binds. Undo the email bind, and then switch all of the binds to yours, change your security lock, and at that point the account is genuinely yours. I'm not saying that there's nothing that somebody could do to try to get it back from you. It's just incredibly difficult because at that point it requires Camel, and Camel has to essentially have you validate purchases you've made on the account by sending them information. And it's very hard to get an account back once you have lost all the binds. Not impossible, but very improbable. And I bring all this up for the last half of the video, and really why I wanted to talk about this is I think there's a large movement within AOZ specifically of nations that are trying to do cool things. And what I mean by cool, I mean they're trying to attract players and talent. They would like people to come to their nation. So some have cities that are, completely free for people to come and join them. Just, make sure you show up. Some have cities that require you to, spend a little money to basically buy into the nation, which is not a bad thing. Especially if you're in a younger nation and you'd like to experience that higher power, low 443 option, which I genuinely do not recommend anyone buys into 443. That's just my humble opinion. I'll explain that in a later video. But there are nations out there that I think are doing some amazing stuff. And I wanted to give a shout out to one in particular who I think deserves it, and in large part because I think that they're going about this the right way. And that nation, I will pull them up on screen because this is how we roll, is 989. So 989 recently merged as of about 6 months ago, from my understanding from talking to these guys. They actually, the GOD Alliance down here, offered some cities to me. Anyone who missed Woody's Mantras with Monsters podcast, I ended up joining that near the end, and there's this question of if I will ever abandon 443, which I'm going to tell everyone the answer is yes, but it's complicated. But these guys are doing some pretty cool stuff. They have multiple cities that their top players are building specifically with the purpose of selling it to new talent. So all of these guys, every single one of them, is working on specific cities within this nation that are for sale. I'm not going to specify which cities they are right now, only because, well, I want them to tell people. But that's kind of how you build a nation, is you really do need strong cities that are, for lack of a better phrase, bought into. Because spend is what rules how strong you are. Spend is what determines how much or how little or how often you're going to win events. We all know this. We all play this pay to win game. And so these guys are doing something a bit different, and I like it. So I just wanted to give them the shout out. I think they're going to be a really cool team, and I think everyone needs to join them. So right now, I know of 3 cities that they have that are for sale. And just to kind of flash more stats in terms of what they're coming in with, they've got strong cities, especially for, a thousands nation, right? Well, 989, near the thousands. They've got strong city rankings. They're freshly merged, and it seems like there's a little bit of diciness from my understanding, but not too bad. So, it's not like a civil war. It's just trying to get everyone on the same alliance. There's a couple of holdouts. And I don't suspect that they'll hold out for very long. So, all that being said, I just wanted to say a massive thank you to 989. And, I appreciate you guys really doing a lot of things. The specific individual you're going to want to get in touch with is right here on screen. Kata, he is the guy who reached out to me and who I believe is doing all the recruiting. He's also the R5 of the GOD Alliance on 989. So, again, much love. Thank you guys so much. I highly recommend buying into this team if you are able to, because they're going to start doing some insane stuff soon. With the rate they're going, with how they're doing it, I genuinely believe in them. So if you're in one of those toxic nations, just consider if it's worth staying there, or if moving to a team that's putting in the effort, who's putting in the work, who's moving towards goals that are similar to yours is worth it. Because that's really what the kind of nation you want to buy into is you really want to get into a nation that is closer to what you were hoping for out of the game, rather than spending a ton of time with people whose values don't align with yours. And so with that, of course, comment if you have any other nations that are kind of doing these things, or if you're a nation who is currently in this kind of recruitment phase and you want to talk about it, feel free to, comment down below. Hit me up on Discord too. I don't mind talking about you guys that are looking to get your nation's story known. I don't care who it is. I think every bit of health we can build into this game for everyone, awareness, understanding that, hey, there are other nations out there that are trying to do stuff and would really like to attract like-minded players, let me know. And I'm going to do my best to give everyone a fair shot. There might be some nations that are super toxic like my own, where I'm going to be like, hey, I really don't recommend it. So fair warning, that is a double-edged sword. But I genuinely appreciate you guys watching this. Please consider giving this video a like. and consider, sharing this amongst your nation. I know that might seem weird, but you never know. Like, if you're a kind of a casual farming player in a nation full of elitists, or at least that has a few of them that are destroying your nation slowly but surely, maybe you can convince them to leave. It's worth a shot. It's better than being hit every day, right? So, with that, I appreciate all the hard work you guys are doing. I genuinely appreciate 989, and I will see you on the next one.